Last 2 weeks have been dizzying, filled with raging rhetoric, rapid-fire developments regarding the investigation into Russian meddling in the election. And two of our New Jersey representatives sit on committees investigating this. Republican Congressman Frank Lobiondo, representing Cape May County, sits on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. He declined our invitation to appear this week. Democratic Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, representing the Mercer County area, sits on the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, and she's speaking to us from Washington, D.C. now via Skype. We thank you so much for joining us, Congresswoman.
Thanks for having me.
So let's get right to it. Now that the special counsel, former FBI Director Robert Mueller, has been appointed here, does that change or perhaps help anything when it comes to your investigation?
Well, let's just say that I think it gives America more confidence that now there is a person looking at these issues from an independent lens, and that will delve deeply into issues that may or may not be criminal in nature, that will lead to whatever the information is taking them. So I think that from America's perspective, as it relates to our protecting and preserving our beloved democracy, we're pleased. We're pleased with that. Now, there are some questionable issues that still arise with regard to this counsel and his relationship with the Attorney General's office, and to whom does he respond, and the scope of his authority. But, you know, it's new. It's evolving right now, and I think Congress is very poised to hold this administration accountable in giving the counsel as much he needs to conduct a transparent and thorough investigation.
Now, the president calls this the single greatest witch hunt in American history. How do you respond to that?
You know, he's just an incredible human being. I have a hard time comprehending a lot of the things that he says, and I certainly can't follow half of the way he thinks about stuff. Statement. Secondly, it's just sort of an illustration of just how either naive or incompetent he is to understand the gravity of these issues and the implications on both the safety and security of our communities and the confidence that Americans have in our government.
But what would you say to the many Americans who think that the press and perhaps political opponents as well are treating the president unfairly, as he's put it in his own words?
I don't always agree with the press. Sometimes you all say things that I don't particularly like, but I believe that you represent a serious accountability. It is important that we're not treated as they are in Russia and Turkey and in other places where the press is controlled. At the end of the day, look at this space in which you worked during the Watergate hearings. Look at the space in which you were working even throughout this issue with regard to Russia's intrusion into our democracy, the relationship between our president, his family, his business, and our foreign adversaries, and the implications of those relationships on making decisions that affect us.
The House Oversight Committee has asked former FBI Director James Comey to testify, and the committee is also requesting documents that may detail conversations between Comey and President Trump. What's the status of these requests?
The requests are they're still outstanding requests. I mean, thank God the chairman finally recognized that he had a responsibility to be as diligent and vigilant in oversight in this administration as he was in the former administration. He has asked for documentation. He's invited Mr. Comey to come before the committee. We don't know if Mr. Comey has accepted that invitation. I think he has several invitations from Congress at the moment, as one would expect. With regard to the materials that he has asked for, he's also indicated that he does have his pen and his subpoena available. I'm not sure on the date on which this material is supposed to be sent to us, and so I will only know where we're going from there once we get that date. I'm not confident that the White House or any other entity in this administration is willing to give the information without going through all the hoops and loops and various streams of bureaucracy that we're going to have to go through.
I realize you have to look at the evidence here, not the polls, but the latest Monmouth University poll just released this week actually revealed 59% of Americans feel it was either very likely or somewhat likely that former FBI Director Comey was fired to hinder the Russia investigation. Is that something that you'll be looking into?
Well, I think that is the question on everybody's mind. I mean, the President of the United States admitted that when he was making a decision as to fire Mr. Comey, it had to do with that Russian investigation. Why can't it just go away because it's nothing? But I believe that we are a nation of laws, and we are a nation of fair and transparent investigations, and we need to go follow the information to see where it leads us. So I know that people are reacting to things which are being done and things which are being thought, but most importantly, they're even reacting to some of the things that the President of the United States is saying and how he's contradicting his own administration, how he contradicts those who've been charged with going out and speaking on his behalf. I mean, he has created this sort of chaotic environment and an environment in which we really can't trust what he is saying. But it's not even just him anymore. I mean, when you think about it, we can't even trust what the Vice President of the United States says he did or did not know in this situation. And that right there is also very troubling.
Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman joining us from D.C. via Skype. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. It's good to see you.